Welcome to the Loyola University New Orleans Town Hall. We are all using technology in different ways right now, and we had the advantage of having this beautiful Mike Early broadcast news studio, so I feel like a proper anchor sitting in here, and I'm very eager to answer all of your questions. Normally we'd be doing this in person in Roussel and hands raised and getting to look each other in the eyes, but I'm very happy for the chance to answer any of the questions that you have. And I want us to start out, as we do here at Loyola with any big meeting that we're doing, with a prayer, which is particularly appropriate right now. So, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Lord, you are hearing from an awful lot of us around the world right now. We need your help. We need you to protect the healthcare workers, particularly our nursing students and faculty who are putting their own safety on the line to be there for all of us and for everyone else doing that work as well. We ask you to protect the vulnerable, to heal the sick, to console the families of those who have died, particularly our own adjunct professor Carrier in the law school. We ask you to help us form a community, to come together and be there for each other. We ask for your help for the Loyola community and guidance as we work together to learn and teach in new ways for many of us. We ask you to teach us at this moment, as we increasingly are living within our homes and not able to leave them, to learn to be still, to learn to hear your voice. Give us the gift of patience. Help us to understand that we can never know what the future holds. We can never know at any point in our lives what the future holds. But we need your help to make ourselves ready. Give us the strength for the days ahead. We pray in your name. Amen. So you have heard a lot from me in countless emails and communications, and I want you to know that our biggest priority right now is just to constantly communicate. There's so much uncertainty going on, and the situation changes by the day, if not the hour, but that we reach out to you and let you know everything that we know, and that we keep working towards pushing forward. And so I want to, again, give incredible thanks to the students who have been patient, who've learned new skills that for many of them, they're getting for the first time of how to learn online. For our online students, your patience and as our faculty do that with all the other students, that we are figuring out as we go. As I said before once, that we're building the Mardi Gras floats during the parade, and for the faculty that you've had extraordinary competence and creativity and problem solving and learning how to do things online, which many of you had done before. I think we were very well prepared for this, but for some they're really getting for the first time. And I loved seeing Father Jim Carter, my predecessor as president in the 80s, eagerly telling me about how he's learning how to edit his videos of his physics class that he's teaching in his last semester at 92 years old of his academic career, that he is learning all sorts of new skills to be there for our students. For the staff who are struggling to work from home, to do everything they can to be there for you, the students, and for many of them on the front lines here on campus, particularly the residence life staff, and so many others who are working here to keep our students safe. This is more than any of us could have quite imagined, even though we're trained to be ready for hurricanes, but this is a whole new adventure that we're living through, and I can't really describe to you how much every conversation on this campus has put the interest of students first, that it's been focused on that, and how much the people in this community have stepped up to the plate. It's blown me away. So I want to answer your questions and to help give as much certainty as is possible right now, and to find out from you what you most need to know. So I think I have a first question. What is the plan for workers who are forced to work or losing hours during this time, for example, custodial staff? So at the moment, specifically with our custodial staff, we do not have less work for them to do. We are asking of them to focus their cleaning efforts on fewer spaces, and to be able to offer more cleaning of spaces where students especially might be, so that we can do our best to clean those thoroughly. Our custodial workers work through a company that we hire, WFF, And we've told WFF that we had no intention of needing fewer hours from their employees, and I don't believe there's any plan for them to make any layoffs. I can tell you, so for contract workers, that is not up to us what happens there. And I do believe that Sodexo, which runs our food services, has decided to make layoffs given the big change in demand for work there. But that is not something that's up to us or within our power or control. With Loyola employees, we are asking everyone to work harder than they did before, not less time. We need everybody more than ever, and so we have no intention of making layoffs. Okay, second question, what about summer classes? What is the plan for those? Well, we're lucky because most of our summer school classes are already online, and we are looking at the rest, particularly some of our most popular ones, to see if we can move them online. It may be that we are okay for the summer. There's a lot about that prediction that involves science and public health and looking at the trends of a country like China that for the first time today reported no new cases several months after it all began for them. If we're lucky, then heat will matter to this virus because that's one thing we have in plenty here in New Orleans during the summer. So it may be that summer school can go on in traditional format as planned, but we are doing everything we can to be ready to offer it online if we can. All right, what about commencement? When will you make a decision so that families can alter their travel plans? Well, we have tried to signal to families now that they should not buy new tickets nor alter them at the moment. What we don't have is the ability to pick a date now that we can be sure of, because we have to wait to see how long this lasts so that we can then have a date that we can choose with certainty. What I do know is that we will have a commencement. We are determined to make it possible for all of our students, particularly for the third of students who are the first in their family to go to college and who come here at commencement with massive groups of family and friends, so excited to see them walk across the stage, and I need for those families to get to see their students walk across the stage. So we've been in touch with the convention center. They are eager and willing to let us change the date, but what I don't want to do is to pick a date right now that might not hold. So we're going to wait for we have a little more certainty so that we can make the plans with as much notice as we can. The good news is right now airlines are being really good about change fees, so I'm hoping that this won't represent an expense for people to make those change plans. But what I do know is that for many seniors, they would have stayed here. They wouldn't have gone home and then come back for commencement. So I do know that that's a burden. But we are going to do everything we can to make sure that we have a commencement. It may be creative, may be different, but we're going to have it. I do want to tell you all as well that this is a moment for many of you of a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress and a lot of change. And so I do hope that you will reach out to Student Services. Know that our counseling center is still absolutely operational. They are doing counseling by video call, and they want to be there for you and to make sure that students are okay. All right, next question. How is online teaching going? How about music and theater classes and labs? It is going really well from what I hear anecdotally, and we put out a survey due today to faculty to let us know what glitches they're facing, how we can do better, to tell us their stories about what's going well. So I will get back to you with more information about that. Music classes have had to be very creative. Individual music classes can sometimes be done over FaceTime, ensembles can sometimes be done with Zoom. It's been really fascinating to see how it works. Theater, I'm not sure exactly how we're handling that now, but I do know that we, from the very beginning of seeing the writing on the wall, we were asking of faculty to get creative and innovative about how we would do those things. So I know for the labs, they both tried to get in more time and the things that had to be done in person over the last few weeks before we might have to go online, and they're finding creative ways to do it now. So I'm eager to tell you more of those specific stories soon. All right, is there any way to donate Wolf Bucks or to Iggy's Cupboard online? That's a really great idea, and I'm proud of that question. So let me find out, and I'll get back to you. I do know that students were lined up out the door of the campus store to spend MILF bucks on bringing food directly to Iggy's Cupboard. As we have fewer students on campus now, as we've had to ask for more students to move out for safety reasons that I'm sure you all will ask me about, we may not have as big a need on campus at this moment, but we will be geared up for the fall to make sure that we are carrying forward that work, which really represents Loyola personified, the way that students came together, asked the university to do more, and then made clear that they also wanted to be the leaders of the effort to be there about food insecurity. And I imagine, as so many of your families are dealing with lost income right now, that those issues will be even higher. Okay, is pass-fail being considered? How will that work? We just announced for undergraduates that pass-fail will be an option. The law school is working on this now. They have to figure out issues like the ABA accreditation and some state bars that want particular GPA requirements, so they will be getting you answers soon. But because we know that this has been unbelievably disruptive, not just the move to online, but because there are families that are getting sick, that you are dealing with incredible issues of disruption in your lives to all kinds of different degrees, that we have made pass-fail available, and the graduate programs in law school will follow up soon with their own decisions about that. That is an option. So for those of you who have been working your tail off and have straight A's and very much want credit for that, that you can choose to go forward and get that grade. As someone who used to be fairly obsessed with grades as a young person, that was important to me as well, but we're making that option, and that is an option. You can look at the FAQs on our website, but that I believe you can decide at the very last minute in the semester as well. We want to be as flexible as possible as we can. All right, what about work-study students? Will they still get paid? Yes. The federal government very quickly issued notices that federal work-study could still be paid out for the semester. We were so happy about that. And then our Loyola students that we hire that aren't federal work-study, we made the decision to go ahead and pay them. We will ask them if they're nearby or can work remotely to help us with various things to still do that work as best they can, but regardless, we are going to be paying them. Will housing open back up before classes start again? Well, yes. I can't give any certainty about how quickly that will happen, but if we have canceled classes for the entire fall semester, spring semester, and we did that because we wanted to provide you certainty. We didn't want students feeling like that if they went home and that was a big expense for them, that they might have the expense of coming back this semester. So we wanted to give that certainty. Before we reopen in the fall or for a summer session, we would absolutely have normal sort of move-in periods. Is it possible that all of Res Life will close and that the remaining students will be kicked out? I can't imagine that that would be true. We would not make that decision. That would come from government. But we've made very clear to the mayor's office and to state government that the students we have remaining on campus, they were really pushing us to not have a huge grouping of students living in close quarters as something dangerous to the students, and that our ability to take care of those students if they did get sick was pretty limited, and we very much had come to the same conclusion. So we are now down to, we will be by tomorrow down to fewer than 100, and most of those are international students, some who have no real ability to make it to another home or have families that are sick or quarantined across the country, that we've made very clear to local government that those students absolutely have to stay. What if I missed classes this week because of travel? Can I make those classes up? Yes, we made sure that when professors are teaching real time, call it synchronous instruction, that they also record those lectures and those courses. And we were very clear with faculty that many of you would need more time to get home, that you'd face greater disruption, that you would need to settle in. So we canceled those first 2 days of classes to help faculty make the transition to get online, and for many of you to make your way home and have time for that Thursday, Friday, and the weekend. But it was very important to us to know that you could make those up. In part because some of you will inevitably get sick yourselves, and while we're very much hoping that the risks are less for your age group, we take very seriously the idea that this is a time when the whole country is going to be less healthy than usual. When do you think a decision will be made about campus summer programs like camps? We're going to make it as late as possible, because if we had to make it today, it would just be to cancel things. We have no ability to know for sure that things will be better or different on a date certain. And so the longer we wait, that's our attempt to salvage those camps to be able to run those programs. Some summer programs abroad, we know that we've had to cancel because they're in other countries, and it seems unlikely that they'll go forward, and because we don't want to risk anyone buying plane tickets or losing deposits or things like that. But here on campus, we're waiting to see as long as we can. I understand we're getting lots of questions about refunds, particularly for residence halls and the process for that. I want you to know that we are going to get back to you on that. What we are figuring out, and this will be a pretty automatic process, so don't worry that you're missing a deadline or that there's some particular thing you need to do right now. We want to find out, as we talk to Sodexo, our meal plan operator, that any savings that they have from having less food cost get passed back to you. So as we negotiate that, we don't want to do refunds one at a time. We want to know the sum total and do the work of putting those refunds into the system, which will have to be done manually in our systems once and not every time. So we will be announcing those processes. I also know that many families have offered to donate their refund to another student who has greater need than they do, and we will be making that possible as well, and we're incredibly grateful for those offers. If we get sick, how will professors deal with making up work? Will we have extra time? We're going to do everything we need to do to be flexible. I can guarantee that. This is a moment when the whole point of this is to help students, to help us get through this, for you to learn, for you to have the pass-fail option, to have everything you need to finish, right? I mean, I was thinking about a world in which this technology didn't exist. All of education would have just ground to a halt, and these credits, this half a semester, would have been wasted. But we have the options now to make this possible, and by doing that, we are going to be able to get you through. So that is the whole point, and you should reach out to faculty with whatever your situation is. They are, as you know, incredibly understanding people on a normal day, and we've asked them to be even more so right now. We are also, I want you to know, really thinking through how do we create that sense of community at a moment we're all feeling pretty isolated. Or, I don't know about you, this terrible mix of sort of loneliness of not being around other people, and then if you're like me, in a household where you also would love just a minute alone sometimes as well. We are working hard to think through how do we do that for each other. I know that you'll be doing it informally in all sorts of ways, but this is an incredibly creative, innovative place. That's what Loyola New Orleans is. So we are asking of students in particular, of faculty and staff, if you want to send us your videos, your short videos that we can post on the Loyola YouTube page, that we can create sort of moments of performances or how you're feeling, or funny stories that you want to tell, or surreal experiences that you're having, that we can post those, and to find ways to create digital community. So this is a start to that digital community, but we want things that are a lot more joyful than mere town halls. So send those to us. We'll send out an email telling you exactly where to email them, and we will begin posting them. We've had some questions from online students. I just want to congratulate those students who have, long before the rest of us joined them, been balancing and juggling jobs and families and getting their degrees online and squeezing that time in as best they can and studying and watching classes on their laptops and doing what they needed to do to get through. And I hope that you all know how much we all appreciate that as we're suddenly living it real time, of understanding the value of your education, of what you've achieved. And I know that this has disrupted your lives as well too. And we don't take that for granted. And we've really asked your faculty as well to remember that you may have already been online, but your lives are suddenly vastly more complicated, as with the whole world right now. We've had a question about the possibility of rescheduling student performances, like Cabaret, which in this very emotional moment turned one of its last rehearsals into a dress rehearsal and packed the theater. I got to go in after a very long day, and the day that we announced that we were going online, and to go watch much of that performance, and it was extraordinary. I really do want for us, as we create a commencement, wherever that's going to be, however we do that, to have a period of the student events that normally would have led up to commencement, and to particularly include performances that didn't get to happen in the spring. So that is my dream, is that we would have several days of extraordinary music, theater, other performances, of the kinds of community building exercises that we normally get to do that amazing week. Since Mass was shut down, what are options to fulfill the spiritual part of our lives while avoiding groups of people? It is this very odd moment when we've never needed to come together in prayer more. We've never needed to come together in community more, and we're not allowed to hug each other or even stand in a church next to each other. And I don't think there's been anything more difficult than that. Well, many things are more difficult than that, but you know what I mean. It's just we don't get that consolation. We are very proudly live streaming our Ignatius Chapel Mass. It's the 10:30 a.m. Mass, but it's available to you to click on later. You don't have to watch it live. If you want to watch it at 9 p.m. when students would normally be doing the student Mass, you can. But that has been very important to us. And also, Student Life and Ministry has been reaching out to students as well with opportunities for saying the rosary, for prayer, for spiritual comfort at this moment when we really need it. Also want to tell you that we're doing as many student services as we can virtually. So I talked about counseling. We also have tutoring through the Student Success Center. And academic advising was taking a minute to focus on moving online, but now we'll be up and running very soon as well. We put off scheduling courses for next year to give everyone time to be able to make any decision, much less those. But we really want to be there for you. And so know that you can reach out to staff. They may be working from home. They may be talking to you on a video call where a small child suddenly comes running through the screen. That's been happening to me a lot. But they are here for you. We are finding that there are many questions that we will answer. Sorry, I'm waiting for the typing on the screen. We're getting a lot of questions that are very specific to particular students in particular cases. So rather than read those out loud in ways that you may not want to make public, we're going to answer those to you in turn. So if you could email those to us, particularly if you need a particular answer so that we know how to find you, you can send them to letters@loyno.edu. Letters, Letters, @loyno.edu. And that way we can give you the particular sort of specific answer that you need. As we wait for more questions, I have heard from many of you that you are settling in as best you can. Some of you have family options that are warm and embracing and readily available to you, but even then, you're getting a lot more family time than you ever sort of signed up for as a college student. Others of you are struggling with all kinds of obstacles in not having the home of this campus in ways that you did. And I want you to know that we're really been thinking about how to be there for students as much as possible, how to think through digital access for students who may not have it. And I know the whole country is working on creating more Wi-Fi and hotspots for free to help solve that problem. We ran out and bought more computers and iPads to be lent through the library for students who don't have that and don't need to be studying online on their phones, of doing what we can to try to make this as easy as it can, given how difficult it all is. What about international and study abroad programs? We face the great unknown there. I think for the whole globe, where one of the miracles of sort of international global exchange has been higher education, and how many students are coming to us from other countries, how many of our students study abroad. About 30% of Loyola students study abroad, usually their junior year. We are eager to have that start up again. And my hope is that as this calms down, as we have a vaccine or treatment, or the virus disappears, or however this ends, that we will be able to do that again. My hope is that we don't learn the lesson from this somehow of isolation, that we really learn that we're all dependent on each other, and that what every nation does affects every other nation. So we need to know each other better, not try to build walls that really don't keep out things like this. Okay, from my work study student, Jodis. Hello, Jodis, I miss you. How are you and your family doing? We are doing very well, and thank you for asking. My daughter, Lucy, who's 7, we are homeschooling her right now. My husband's taking on the lion's share of that. I have an incredible appreciation for second grade teachers right now. I already had that appreciation, but now I understand what rock stars they really are. And I can tell you that I did math with Lucy today, and before she would give me the answer to every arithmetic problem, she demanded a drum roll. So I've decided that I'm going to start doing that in my own meetings, because it really adds something to it. How can I meet with my professor? Will it need to be online? Well, at the moment, because we're all being mandated to have social distancing, it will need to be online. But faculty are reaching out in all kinds of ways. So it could be by phone, it could be by FaceTime call, it could be through Zoom. Professors are working with their own technology and what they feel most comfortable with to provide those opportunities for students. And if you have, we've been checking with faculty, and I really do hope and believe that they have all reached out to students in extraordinary ways. But if you have any issue with that communication at all, please let us know. Okay, so for the students remaining on campus, will we still have food service at the Orleans room? So for safety reasons, we do not want students congregating at the Orleans room. And we are trying to minimize the number of physical spaces that you engage with, and thus surfaces that you touch. So we are doing boxed meals, and I believe very soon we'll start even delivering those to the residence hall. So at the moment, I think you pick them up at the Dana Center, but that we will start bringing those to the residence halls. How has the virus impacted the wonderful New Orleans spirit that we all love? My son misses New Orleans. Yes, I gotta tell you that the city has been through a lot in its history, and I think that we are locally feeling a fair amount of PTSD from Katrina, because in some ways it feels so similar, in other ways it feels so different, because we got so much comfort through that storm of coming together, and we aren't allowed to do that right now. I can tell you this will be a big hit on New Orleans because of the necessary closure of restaurants, which are trying to do takeout, of music clubs that can't welcome crowds, of musicians and service employees who are losing their jobs and their income. So it has really been a very big hit to this city. I do know that once we're allowed to again, there will be such a surge of demand for those things. So I'm hoping that there will be a way that they can come through this, or there will be government support to help them. But I keep thinking about after Katrina, when we found each other again, when we saw each other, of how many hugs we all gave each other, of how much we clung to that community, As soon as we're able to, we're really literally going to, every single person in the city will hug every single other person in the city. And I know that because it happened after we won the Super Bowl, quite literally, so we will be ready to do that again. For students who elect pass-fail, will they still receive the same amount of credit for their classes? Absolutely. So long as you pass, you will get the absolute same amount of credit. Again, we're trying to add to as much flexibility as we can, and I've seen a lot of other universities follow suit because this is a very strange moment. And I do want you to know that I think that we are facing a place where graduate schools, for those of you who are undergraduates and applying to medical school, for those of you applying for jobs, everyone will understand pass-fails on your transcript, right? This is a moment where, unlike Katrina, the whole country, the whole world really is in the same boat. And so you're in a position where everyone's going to understand. And I can tell you that there are traumas you go through alone. Many of you have gone through those. And the advantage of that is there are more people available to help you. The disadvantage is people don't really understand. This is the opposite. Everyone's going to understand. It's just that it's so collective that we have to be there for the people who are really suffering the most. Now, some of you have asked questions that I've already answered. So for the sake of you who've been hanging in there the whole time, I'm not going to repeat those, but this is being recorded, so you can watch it from the beginning again. And we have written more FAQs, frequently asked questions, than we ever thought possible. And we posted those on the website, and we're continuing to update them. So please check those. That's the most efficient way for us to communicate with you. And we've literally dreamt up every possible question that we think you could have, but I'm sure you'll come up with new ones and email those to us. Okay. We have one more. How is Zoom going? I think that it's going pretty well in other online platforms. As I understand it, they're having glitches. I'm noticing that cell phone service seems really overtaxed in New Orleans. I don't know if that's true everywhere. That Wi-Fi systems are overburdened. So some of that is just about the ability to access the technology. Zoom as a platform, I think, is going pretty well. I've been pleasantly surprised by that because they had an increase in business that was beyond exponential. But we are just going to keep working out the kinks and keep hanging in there and keep experimenting with our creative backdrops and ways that you can use the technology. We have answered most of your questions here. I want to wrap up and tell you we'll keep doing these. And you can keep emailing us. You can email me at prez@loyno.edu. You can email us at letters@loyno.edu. And we will give you as much certainty as is possible for us in this crazy moment in our history. I want for the students to really know, as I keep telling you, but you're going to tell your grandkids about this someday. And some of you are older students are already telling your grandkids about this. But this is a moment in world history that feels like a fundamental shift, and our job is to adjust, to figure out what lessons we have to learn from this, how to be there for each other, how to understand that everything we do affects our community and each other. So I hope that you will make decisions that you'll be very proud of, that you'll have stories to tell later that you're very proud of, and know that we're so proud of you, the faculty, the staff, the administration. We're so proud of the students. And we're really thankful, too, for how supportive you've been of us, because this has not been easy for a lot of folks. They're doing, homeschooling young children and figuring out how to teach in whole different ways than they're used to, or to be there for you in virtual support systems. Know that they are working so hard because they love you, the students, and they're so eager to make up for the things that you're losing by not being here on this campus. And for the online students, thanks for showing us the way. Thanks for teaching us so well how to do this. We've really felt better prepared than most schools because of the work that we've done to be able to teach online. You can follow me on social media, Loyno Prez on Instagram, all the cool things that I'm trying to learn to do better. And we'll just keep talking. So stay safe, be there for each other, and keep coming back to the community that we have here that is so precious. Thank you.